You asked about this agriculture versus technology in terms of emphasis for growth in the context of an economy that is monocultural, more or less. So, and I think my thinking, which is not as well informed in terms of agriculture as it is in terms of technology, is that it's not an either or, it's an and. So you have to do certain things on both sides, and you have to understand the role of each side. Agriculture would not drive this economy. Agriculture would kind of like impact our costs, for instance, in terms of, let's say Nigeria, for instance, Nigeria imports 95% of the milk, and the milk-related products in Nigeria are based on imports. Okay, 90% of the tomatoes at some point were based on imports. All the tomato paste was imported into the country. Rice, even though we had rice, was like Nigeria is amongst the top 10 producers of rice in the world, but we were importing rice. So if you take care of those type of things, two things happen. First of all, the amount of money that you actually spend, dollars, because everything that you import is paid for with dollars. The amount of money that you actually spend, dollars that you actually spend bringing in products shrinks, right? So that money then is available for other sectors of the economy. The second thing that happens is that if you're producing locally, you drive up the level of employment. And there's general GDP growth in that sector, so you have more people who are employed. But the big question that pivots around for me on the agricultural story is this. If you see agriculture as a way of employing people, it flies in the face of what is happening everywhere else in the world, where there's greater efficiency of labor in agriculture. So a country like the US, only 3% of its population produces all its food. So mechanized agriculture and today technology-enabled agriculture through things like aquaponics, hydroponics, and those type of things are driving, and of course all the issues around genetically modified seeds and those type of things is driving huge efficiencies in terms of how you produce these goods, and labor is the lowest contributor factor of production in that space in other countries. We want to do the reverse. So we're claiming that we'll employ a lot of people. We're going to employ them in sedentary farming, basically, or the next step above sedentary farming, not large-scale mechanized farming. And that is good in the short term, in a lot of ways, but it's not sustainable in the long term, because as more and more of those technology-enabled type of agricultural companies or organizations are coming into your environment, you will lose that labor. You understand? And that labor will then have to be shifted into another sector. So in the medium to long term, you can't say that you're going to take a country like Nigeria, and a vision for a country like Nigeria is to have 10 million youths farming. It's not the case anywhere in the world. And we are competing on a global stage. And that's my opinion. I mean, people may differ. I contrast that with technology, which is unique in the sense that technology is not just an enabler. It's an accelerator, and it's a multiplier. Everywhere you inject technology successfully, you enable massive efficiencies in the way that you're doing things before. You cause an acceleration of transactions, economic transactions and engagements to happen. And then you see that there's a multiplier that is built on top of that. So technology came into telephony. And look at where we are 10, 15 years later. And you can imagine that we spent 3.5 decades in darkness. Once it hits a system, and it's one of the only drivers that can actually has those properties. Once you introduce technology into an environment, it causes a disruptive change. And the disruption happens in terms of how the acceleration that it brings to that industry. It just simply transforms that industry, and it starts churning over much, much faster. And because it's churning over much, much faster, it has a network effect. So it creates a multiplier in the system. So for every unit investment, every unit growth, every basis point growth in technology in an economy, it creates a multiplier of 20, 30, 40, in some cases even 50x. There is nothing else that comes close to doing that.